Have you ever seriously wondered what it's really like to be someone else, or maybe even another animal? Well, today we're going to dive into one of the most famous and mind-bending thought experiments in all of philosophy, from Thomas Nagel's incredible essay, What is it like to be a bat?
So, right at the heart of this whole thing is what philosophers call the mind-body problem. And it's a pretty simple observation, but it leads to a huge mystery. Look, we all have a brain, right? It's a physical, biological machine. But we also have a mind, this private, inner world of thoughts, feelings, and experiences. So how in the world does the physical stuff of the brain create the non-physical experience of being alive? The core of that mystery, the real hard part, is consciousness itself. I mean, it seems like such a basic question, doesn't it? What is consciousness? What is this inner movie that's just constantly playing in all of our heads? We can't even begin to explain how the brain makes it happen until we can get a real handle on what it even is. Now, when science wants to explain the world, it has this incredibly powerful method called reductionism. The basic idea is you take some big, complex thing and you break it down into its smaller, physical parts to understand how it all works. And honestly, this approach has been unbelievably successful. For example, think about water. We used to just know it as, this clear, wet stuff. But through reduction, we now get that all its properties, the fact that it's wet, the temperature it boils at, it all comes down to the behavior of its basic parts, little H2O molecules. We've literally reduced the phenomenon of water to its physical basis. And it's the exact same deal with something like lightning. What might have once seemed like some kind of supernatural event is now understood for what it is, a massive electrical discharge. By finding its physical root, we basically solved the mystery. So this leads us to the big million-dollar question. Can we do the same thing for our minds? Can we just say that love, or the experience of tasting chocolate, or the feeling of sadness, is nothing but a certain pattern of neurons firing in the brain? Is consciousness reducible, just like water and lightning are? And this is exactly where the philosopher Thomas Nagel jumps in. He argues that trying to reduce the mind to the brain like this completely misses the single most important thing about consciousness. There's something left over that our usual scientific tools just can't seem to grab onto, and it's a problem that still stumps fields like neuroscience and AI to this day. He gives this leftover part a name, the subjective character of experience. It's actually a very simple but profound concept. All it means is that if something is conscious, then there's a feeling, a quality, a something it is likeness to being that thing from the inside. I mean, Nagel himself puts it perfectly. He says an organism is conscious if and only if there is something that it is like to be that organism. It's not about how it acts, it's all about that internal point of view. A super advanced robot could mimic being in pain perfectly, but if there's nothing it's like to be that robot on the inside, then it isn't truly conscious. Okay, so to take this big abstract idea and make it real, Nagel comes up with this brilliant thought experiment. He asks us to think about a creature whose experience of the world is just totally, fundamentally different from ours, a bat. And he hits us with this simple but incredibly deep question. Not how does a bat's biology work, but what is the inner subjective experience for the bat? What's it actually like to be one? So let's just lay out the objective facts we have. Bats are mammals, so it's a pretty safe bet that they have conscious experiences. But their main way of sensing the world is through echolocation. They basically see by sending out high-frequency sounds and interpreting the echoes. It's like a kind of 3D sonar that is just completely alien to anything we can possibly experience. Now, we can try to imagine this, right? You could close your eyes, picture yourself with wings, hanging upside down, clicking your tongue, and trying to build a picture of the room from just the echoes. But, and this is the absolute key to the whole thing, that doesn't get us there. When we do that, we're only imagining what it's like for a human to try and act like a bat. We haven't actually tapped into the bat's genuine internal world at all. Nagel really hammers this point home. He says, I want to know what it is like for a bat to be a bat. That unique perspective, the one generated by a bat's brain and its bat's senses, is a world we are completely and totally locked out of. We're just stuck with the tools of our own human minds. So you see, the bat problem isn't really about bats. It's a way to highlight this deep, fundamental clash between two totally different ways of knowing the world, the subjective first-person way and the objective third-person way. And this right here breaks down that divide perfectly. Subjective facts, like what a pineapple actually tastes like to you, are tied to a single point of view. You just have to experience it. But objective facts, like the chemical makeup of that pineapple, are totally independent of any viewpoint. Anyone, even a Martian with no taste buds, could study its chemistry with the right tools.
You know, the entire goal of science, its whole mission, is to move away from those specific, biased points of view. We want to describe reality as it really is, not just how it happens to look to us. We go from saying the sun looks like it's moving across the sky to the objective fact that the Earth is revolving around the sun.
And here is the paradox at the very heart of Nagel's argument. With consciousness, that whole method just breaks down. The subjective point of view isn't just a lens on the thing we're studying, it is the thing we're studying. If you strip away the what it's likeness to get an objective picture, you've just thrown away the very thing you wanted to explain in the first place. So, where on earth does that leave us? Well, according to Nagel, it leaves us staring at a mystery that might be beyond our current ability to even think about properly. The problem might not be that we're missing data, but that we're missing the right concepts.
Nagel gives this fantastic analogy. Imagine you know nothing about biology, nothing about metamorphosis. You lock a little caterpillar in a safe. Weeks later, you open it, and out flies a butterfly. You'd have every reason to believe the butterfly is the caterpillar, but you would have absolutely zero idea how that could possibly be true. You might even think it's some kind of magic.
And that, he suggests, is pretty much where we are with physicalism. This idea that our mental states are just physical states in the brain. We might have good reasons to believe it's true, but we completely lack the concepts to understand how a purely physical process, like neurons firing, could be the subjective feeling of seeing the color red. So, Nagel's final point isn't that a physical theory of the mind is impossible. It's that we are just conceptually not equipped for it yet. As he puts it, we can't even really think about such a theory until we've completely rethought the very relationship between our inner subjective world and the outer objective one. And this brings this whole gigantic cosmic problem right back home to us. The bat is an extreme case, for sure, but that gap is always there. I mean, how could you explain the experience of seeing the color red to someone who's never seen it? This isn't just some abstract philosophical puzzle. It points to a fundamental limit on our ability to truly, fully know another mind, and it leaves us with the ultimate unanswerable question. What truly is it like to be you?